Hello my friends and welcome back to Steel Faith Overhaul, where Big Daddy Durthu is mad that Archaon and the Warriors of KHORNE pissed in his chlorophyll. So to pay them back for this atrocity, he's used the world roots and marched on the frozen north to put them in the ground for good. The Wood Elves, like every other faction in SFO, have had all their defining traits accentuated. The speed, the mobility, the versatility, the shootiness, it's all still there, just amplified and turned up to 11. So units like the Hawk Riders have over 100 movement speed now, but are really squishy. They deal more damage from range than they do in vanilla, but then everything also has more HP to work with as well. Eternal Guard retained their place from the source material as one of the most cost-effective frontline armor-piercing troops, and Way Watchers are godly as well, but come at a price tag approaching 1,500 gold with 200 range, devastating AP, stalk, and snipe. So a lot of utility to throw into one unit, a lot of firepower, but you're paying for it with an arm and a leg. Overall, I just think they're a joy to play in this mod, but then I also love playing them in vanilla. One of my favorite factions to play, maybe my favorite faction to play in either SFO or in vanilla, in multiplayer at least. So yeah, really enjoy them. But if there's any faction in SFO who has benefited tremendously compared to the base game, it's probably Chaos in terms of raw stat boosts. On a per model basis, they will stomp most other factions in a pure melee grind. They're arrayed defensively here to get the full use out of that demonic hell cannon, and when they're kitted out with Ado's KHORNE reskin, they look sexy as hell. I mean vicious. I meant vicious. Wouldn't want to displease the blood god, but I mean just look at those chosen. They look badass, and those stats are insane. In a lot of ways, that small model count will benefit them tremendously. 13,000 HP, spread across 40 models, and with strong vigor, it means they keep their killing power much longer than your typical infantry unit, so they're absolutely no joke, and neither are the aspiring champions. I mean, really cool models on these guys as well, and the melee stats are insane. Over 50 melee defense, 46 melee attack. They've got almost 1,000 HP per model, and they've got AoE attack, superhuman vigor. They're mean. You don't want to fight them. They're not a fun unit for the Wood Elves to fight because honestly you can't shoot them very well either. They're very hard to hit because they're only one model. And of course, Archaon, the never chosen in vanilla, but here he's the ever chosen, and yes, he is a monster in Steel Faith Overhaul. I'm sure you guys have seen some replays of him here. Yeah, his casting is very powerful. Can pretty easily get him over 1,000 weapon strength with some buffs, but the skirmish stage has begun, and what do when you see a hell cannon on the field? You kill it. Way Watchers already taking down the hell cannon, still shooting down the crew just to get those chaos swords, those ugly, nasty stunties off the field, and that's not a fun blow. That's not a good way to start the game, to have your hell cannon go down that fast. If there were no Way Watchers on the field, great pick. It could do some serious work for you against the Wood Elves. With Way Watchers on the field, just a couple volleys are enough to bring it down, and entirely right off the bat, the momentum of this game shifts because what was going to be a Chaos army that was looking to play defensively and use that hell cannon to shoot from long range now has to shift into an aggressive stance and charge forward to take the fight to the Azrai. But let's be honest, aggression is something Chaos does very, very well. Warhounds now being ridden down by the steeds of KHORNE. Wild Riders will eat them up for breakfast. They will not be able to escape once they get into charge range, and Hawk Riders have landed in and amongst some of those other Warhounds on the other flank as the Warriors of KHORNE move up, painted red with the skulls and bloods of their enemies. They look sexy. I mean, seriously, they look awesome. I love Ado's KHORNE, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, and Nurgle reskins. They look incredibly cool. They're about as good as we're going to get for Warriors of Chaos before the unique assets get added by Creative Assembly themselves. So I highly recommend you go download those if you want to do a Chaos campaign because they look awesome. But maybe a little bit flustered right now. A lot of those fast movers getting caught out by Hawk Riders and the Bodyguards of Orion. It's really tough to play speed games with the Wood Elves because they're almost uniquely suited for punishing it. There are tons of races in the game that really can't deal well with Marauder Horsemen or Warhounds because those units can typically engage when and where they want, but the Azrai have the mobility to just run you down. There's a reason why the Wild Hunt is basically just one big marathon Xenocide, and right now they're kind of showing off why that's working so well. The Wild Riders are punishing a lot of this early game aggression coming forward from the Marauder Horsemen, but Wild Riders did get caught up there with the Armored Trolls for a bit, and some of the Marauders did end up living as the Warriors of Chaos charged up, but now the initial stages of skirmishing have kind of fallen by the wayside as the Starfire Shafts get their shots off, and pretty soon melee will begin in earnest as KHORNE begins ascending over the top of this hill, and the Gorby's chariots charge forward into the center of the Dryads. That is a great use of the chariots. We will plow through those front ranks, do a ton of damage here. And Chariots may be a risky pick versus Wood Elves, but they can certainly pay off really well, especially if they get into the back lines. They can absolutely murder some archers. As Big Daddy Durthu himself strides into the thick of the action, Sword of Daith about to wreck some foos. The Dragon Ogre Shaggoth gets up in his grill. That's where they like to be, smacking the crap out of other big monsters. And Durthu getting in there nice with the roots going down, and Chaos Warrior sliced in half as Durthu does his thing. That AoE life drain from Sword of Daith goes down, can do so much work for you when surrounded by enemies, but he has no healing support, so he needs to be pretty careful there. No life mages on the field. Chaos Warriors out on the left flank, moving up now under a hail of Waywatcher fire, and not really envying them. They are supported by the armored trolls, but they're a long way from melee combat, and with all that AP damage pouring in right now, they are pretty much going to be sacrificed for the Azrai Wolves over on that side. Not going to have a good time. Gorby's Chariots dying to some of the Eternal Guard in the front ranks, needed to be cycled out. Dragonor is getting in there, and a Tree Man striding forward, anchoring the line as more Marauders, more Chaos Warriors pour in, and Archaon the Everchosen has finally made it. He was dismounted, no Dorgar Seed of the Apocalypse for this one, so he'll make it in a little bit late to combat, but now that he's here, could definitely start turning things in Chaos's favor, because yeah, I think he's like 600, 650 weapon strength base, and then that goes up again to, you can pretty easily get it to 1,000 with the Slayer of Kings, with Cascading Fire Cloak or Flaming Sword of Ruin rather, and a couple of those other buffs. I mean, you can just stack up a ton of melee and weapon damage on him and just make him a god in melee. And because he does fire damage, because Flaming Sword of Ruin does fire damage, yeah, he will wreck a Tree Man in close quarters combat as armored trolls have gotten in the back, running down some of those Starfire shafts. Durthu's taking a lot of damage now, trying to get away from the Dragon Ogre. Doesn't want to stick around for too long as he gets attacked from the rear, but now no longer supported by as many of those Chaos Warriors. He'll be able to turn around, and with the Eternal Guard supporting him, he might be able to take this fight now. Reach out with those tendrils, give him the backhand, as Burning Head roars to life on the flank, incinerating a group of Wildwood Rangers and Eternal Guard. Really nice cast from Archaon there. That's most certainly one advantage Chaos has in this matchup. Ton of units and spells that cause flaming damage, makes Tree Spirits almost completely useless, and Burning Head is amazing for slow armored targets, which is the entirety of the Wood Elves front line. So definitely something you have to be cognizant of when you're playing Wood Elves or Chaos. Flame damage versus Wood Elves, real nice. Will melt Dryads, will melt Tree Men, will melt Treekin, and do a lot of damage to Durthu. And again, all that Eternal Guard, all those Wildwood Rangers will get pretty beat up by Burning Head. But the Shaggoth is running from the field now. Durthu, below half health though, has taken a lot of damage here as Aspiring Champions move up. And it's always great to see this dude in action, slamming the Sword of Daith down. One of the saddest stories in Warhammer, Avatar of Life at one point. It was basically entirely devoted to the Elves and keeping them safe, keeping his own forest safe. Wise and just and kind, except for when he was ripping demons inside out by their buttholes. But remember that saying, chaos marks us all? Well, it got Durthu pretty good as well. Millennia of treachery and destruction left him hate-filled and burning eternally for war. You can't really blame him either. So, he's not in such good shape at the moment. He's not as nice as he once was, but that's not the worst thing for the Wood Elves, because he makes war like few monsters or creatures can in Warhammer Fantasy, as the Dragon Ogre try to surround him, and he gives them the pimp hand, the strong pimp hand, and smacks his own Wildwood Ranger into the air. But with all that Waywatcher fire and Starfire shafts coming in, ripping up those Dragon Ogres, and they're gonna shatter for sure. They go down, and those two might be able to escape, but it won't matter, because we won't see them again. The Mama Dragon Ogre Shaggoth coming back to help her babies out, but might be a little bit too late over on that side. But Archaon over here is smacking stuff around, and he's getting some real nice kills at the moment. He'll be able to smash through those Eternal Guard. And the Chosen got a rear charge in the Dryads and the Eternal Guard, and now they can go to work. They were in the back of the deployment zone behind the village, because again, Chaos was trying to play defensively with that Hell Cannon, and when it went down, it meant the Chosen had to run a really long way to make it into the battle. But when they do, they are going to make their presence felt. They are full strength now, fighting a bunch of already hurt and damaged and kind of bloodied up Eternal Guard and Wildwood Rangers, and yeah, they're going to do some serious work in melee as the armored trolls are routing, and with the Waywatchers firing in, they're going to die. With that armor piercing, that AP from the Waywatchers is so insane when you stack that up and focus fire targets. Durthu dealing with the aspiring champions for now. Another burning head, another really good one. And that should wrap up the Wood Elves on this flank. Now the Tree Man, without support from the infantry, Archaon will be able to just stab Slayer of Kings into its gnarled hide, the bark all around it over and over and over again, set it aflame. And I don't think the Tree Man will be able to stand in melee 1-to-1 against the Everchosen. Just not going to work that way. Archaon's too strong, does flaming damage. Awful engagement for the Tree Man over there if it doesn't run away. Aspiring champions, though, getting shot in the back. And a lot of AP missile fire coming into them. And normally speaking, they're not going to be great targets for archers because, again, there are so few models in the unit. It's kind of hard to be accurate against them. But from that close range, Starfire Shafts won't have a problem. The Glade Guard won't have a problem shooting them down. And they'll take a lot of HP damage there. Chosen anchoring the flank on this side. And, yeah, racking up them kills right now. Tree Man not looking so good at the moment. Slayer of Kings finding its target over and over again. But it looks so awesome. Every single time you see those Ents march to war. Shades of Lord of the Rings, shades of the Two Towers, as Treebeard and the Ents of Fangorn Forest stride forth towards Isengard. Hoorah! But we got Durthu over here. Lamentation of Despair. Bunch of angry sprites sprouted out of his own chest, his own malevolent soul, and smacking those aspiring champions in the face, and they're gonna run from the field. And Chaos is just not looking too good at the moment. They've been beat up from range, they've been beat up in melee, and the Hawk Riders harrying them at every single step. Wild Riders as well coming back from the flank, making sure that all those routing units don't come back, and now they're ready to get their devastating hammer and anvil off on the remnants of KHORNE and Archaon the Everchosen. But look what he did to that Tree Man. That was mean. He's not going to be able to finish it off because he doesn't have Dorgar, doesn't have the speed. It would have been really nice, actually, this game for him. But he's going to get to fight Durthu now. And this battle's not over yet. If he kills Durthu, then things could start shifting back in their favor for sure. Fireball going forward. That's a nice spell against him. Not going to do a massive amount of damage, but a good way to imbue some extra fire damage from range. Make that 1v1 a little bit easier. And it's tough to know what will happen in a fight like this. As I think that was the that was the magic missile from Lore of Beasts. Just misses completely. Really awful, actually. But I don't know who would actually win this fight, right? Because Archaon will get the benefit of being knocked over, and in some ways it's a good thing because you get the knockdown immunity. But at the same time, you can kind of get bullied and get knocked over and over again without actually getting any attacks off. But with the flaming damage, yeah, Durthu's getting really low. But Hawk Riders coming in to reinforce, getting a rear charge. They do have AP. They're really squishy, but they hit hard. And that's pretty much explains the Wood Elves in a nutshell right there. Real squishy, hit like a truck. And that AP damage into the back of those KHORNE Chosen gonna be really nice. Don't want to stick around though. Those ensorcelled axes could cut them up. Tree Man does come back to the fight somehow. And that might be his doom, because Archaon and his KHORNE Chosen are pissed, making their stand here, surrounded by a bunch of screaming Azrai. Wave Watchers now out of ammunition, pouring into melee. Hawks screeching overhead. Personal bodyguards of Orion astride their steeds of Karnas, slamming into the rear of the Blood God's army. Terror kicks in, and KHORNE's army will run from the field. And Archaon, well, he beat Durthu in a 1v1. To be fair, Durthu had taken more damage than he had. He did chase him off the field, or was about to anyway, if that battle hadn't kicked into army losses territory there. But ultimately, deployment and army composition certainly a problem for Chaos in this one. I don't think the army comp itself was that bad. Honestly, the deployment was the biggest problem. That this was on the Nagelfari plain map, I believe, by Maruka and Zoidberg, and it was a village kind of scenario where he had a hell cannon and he thought he was going to be able to defend the village. And as soon as that hell cannon went down, it was like, oh, oops, I'm going to get shot by armor-piercing missiles all game long. My deployment here now sucks, and I have to run across the field under a lot of skirmish fire. And that was not a good thing, because Chaos Warriors do not enjoy being ripped up by Waywatcher or Starfire Shaft arrows. So that played a big role in that game, and the fact that the Chosen had to sit in the back and had to run all the way across the field. It just meant that the waves kind of came in one by one instead of a big concerted attack, and that hurt in the long run. But Chaos, I think, can absolutely deal with the Wood Elves and SFO. Not the easiest matchup for them because, again, a lot of the Wood Elves roster is AP and fast, and those are two things that can give Chaos fits, but Forsaken and a couple other units are great choices against the Wood Elves that weren't really utilized in this battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Any Pride, signing out for now.